Are you willing to go there for the people that you serve? Are you willing to go beyond what feels comfortable for you? Are you willing to say what needs to be said and to see the things that they aren't trying to show you in service of the people that you serve, as well as the purpose that you are bringing to life? My name's Niyama Ashang. I lead the Trailblazer Oasis with a group of leaders who are shaping the next era of humanity. That's my purpose. And in this group here, we get a chance to come together and build the skill sets and practice and play with how we can be out in the world so that we can take on the responsibility and opportunity of shaping the future of the world. And it's odd to say that in some regards, and it makes perfect sense and just feels so right at the same time. And the other day, I was in a conversation with someone who was helping me really feel more comfortable in the full vision that I have and the purpose that I lead. And one of the questions that she asked me was, am I willing? Actually, this is what she said. We were talking and she was finding out more about me. And she's a wonderful creative director. She's able to listen to the words that someone says and be able to pull out what their message is and how to convey it to people in a way that they can actually understand. And my ears are burning as I'm thinking about this. She said, you know, Niyama, I've gotten a chance to experience you through various means, and I haven't read a single thing on your website. I haven't done any research around you, but I've experienced you and I've experienced coaching with you and so on and so forth. And what I get about you is that you have two sides. There's like two sides of what you do. One of them is this deep love for the person that's there, and you create an environment where that love can really have its room and you can be a stand for it. And then there's another side of it that's just about being like, sometimes people are coming to get their ass whooped and get into shape, And she's like, and on that end, this is where my ears are burning. She's like, on the ass whooping side, like, I feel like you love, and that part we get, and we could really use some more on the ass whooping side. That hit me. She's like, are you willing to go there? And I'll be honest with you, this came up and it hit me from a standpoint of not just, oh, I'm a recovering people pleaser, or I want people to like me, but it felt unsafe because in my mind, when I thought about ass whooping, it thought about coming in and being like, hey, we're going to push you down this way. And like, if you're not going to do this, I can't even really energetically get there, but I think you can get the vibe of what it was like. And I'm like, that is not something I can do, because again, there's a story that I have around being a Black male and being too aggressive or being seen as too dangerous. And she pointed out something. She's like, to tell you the truth, you have a very different flavor of this ass whooping. And I need to just call it out. You see in people exactly who they are in this moment. And one of your superpowers is seeing like who they really are, who they can be simultaneously. And you call them out when they're out of alignment. And that call out might be a gentle question to them, but it's intimidating and it's confronting, not because of who you are and the danger that they feel because of you being able to ask that question, but because of what they have to go through as their ego competes against their higher self. And it was really interesting to me because from that perspective there, I know that I'm willing to go there. I'm willing to be a stand for anyone to really align with why they are here on this earth. That's what I'm about. And so I look at that there. I think of it as, am I willing to be high flame as it's necessary? Am I willing to really be in service of people? And I ask, and the question came, are you willing to go there? I'd love to leave you with that question. Where's the place? Where's the there for you that feels uncomfortable? That if you don't go there, may not give people, actually won't give people the true service that you're looking to provide and help you step into your purpose at the level that you're really meant to play at. And spend some time in that area of exploring what makes it uncomfortable to go there for you, and what might be your flavor of providing the same level of service in a way that is just completely and utterly aligned with how you show up. Today, we get to spend some time with someone who has brought out a lot of me. Actually, to tell you the truth, I've been able to be in an environment where he's experienced me bringing on more of the higher flame. And he's also someone who's been able to help me, moderate throughout that, moderate myself while I'm in that flame, so that it's actually quite interesting. It's almost as if like the high flame mixed with a little bit of low flame and then back up again, creates its own dynamic. So Matt, I'm really, really thrilled to be with someone who calls that out of me, and also can be with me in that environment and call out even more. I'm really excited to play with you today. I'm grateful that we get a chance to really be here in service. I'd love to just unmute you and bring you into this conversation. It's great to see you, Matt.
Oh, Niyama, after that story, I'm energized. I mean, I have goosebumps all over my body. I feel like you warmed me up for the big game. Like, that was incredible, and that really touched my heart. And I felt you when you said things like, I really am here to kind of reach deep into people, understand why they're on this earth, so that we can really shape this world. Like, I have goosebumps all over my body. So wherever we go today, and just to be here with you, I'm sincerely grateful and excited.
So let's play a little bit.
I'm in.
Matt, I'm really looking forward to serving you today. Before we do there, and actually this is actually part of the service, I'd love to get a chance to see more of your picture, more of your story. We've known each other for a while now, but I'd like to get a little bit more of a clearer view of your journey thus far. All right. What I like to say is like we'd like to get a picture of your outer journey. When someone looks at you from the outside, or looks at thinks oh yeah, Matt, like he's done all these different things. What is your highlight reel, your accomplishment list, your proudest moments? Would you mind sharing us a little bit of how you come off to people, or how others might perceive you on the outside? And then we'll spend the rest of the conversation diving in deep to what's happening on the inside.
I found two questions in there that I'll answer both. The highlight reel mostly isn't what they see on the outside. So I'll give you both in a shortened version. What they see on the outside, and again, just kind of paraphrasing what's been given to me from others, is good looking guy, smart guy, has it together, will be fine, and probably succeeds at most of the things that he does. Well-spoken, doesn't necessarily put himself out there all that often, but when he does, can handle himself in any situation. Is probably kind of a package that in some way, shape, or form, people from 5,000 feet would probably have given me my whole life. The highlight reel is includes a lot of. I was asked this question yesterday. What is one of your superpowers that you don't even dig into often or show people often? It's one around endurance, physical endurance, but more importantly, mental endurance. I have a psychology degree from the University of Connecticut, and I always had a vision of working with Olympic athletes and helping them perform at a higher level. That studying allowed me to be a professional athlete. I was a professional goalkeeper in soccer, which is where I honed a very intense skill of mental endurance. I was paid to keep things out, metaphorically and literally. And so I built a pretty good armor of being unemotionally attached to anything, and literally had a mantra of "you can't hurt me." Whether that was when my parents split up, when my stepfather, the man that raised me, died, whether love's lost, dreams lost, whatever, I can't be hurt. Athletically, I've always been gifted. It's led me to do some of my proudest moments. I've done 2 Ironmen, which, for anybody who doesn't know, is a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike, followed by a marathon. So you basically are actively engaged from sunrise to sunset. And I'm not necessarily proud about finishing those races, but I'm proud about the commitment they took. They each took about 9 or 10 months of a commitment. And, what I like to say is you can make babies in less time than it took me to train for those things. So I took that skill set and I succeeded in the corporate world over about 18 years. I was the vice president of licensing at Major League Soccer, where I helped run their consumer products department and really grow that to a business that now is thriving. But I reached a place in my life when I had children, when I had family, where I wanted to go back to my center and really what lit me up. Because as an athlete, I believe musicians, I believe everybody's like this, but as in athletics and musicians, I think it comes out more naturally. I'm driven by passion. I'm driven by things that light me up and excite me, similar to your story at the beginning of this. It's what drives me, passion. And I finally had the courage to say, what do I want? What drives me? And I came to the realization, I remembered. It wasn't an awakening. I remembered that people becoming alive around me is what makes me, is what I'm passionate about. It's what makes me come alive. So I left corporate a couple of years ago and I started a company called Today I Begin, which was inspired to inspire people to reach down deep. What do they really want? Who do they really want to be? And let's begin that. Let's begin that journey, regardless where you are in your life. And that's what I spend my days doing. That's what I wake up thinking about every day. I said this to somebody yesterday. I fight for people. I said, what do you think I bring into the room? And what do you think leaves when I leave? And she was so gracious. And she said, you have an incredible way of making people feel safe, but then letting them know that whatever they want is okay and they deserve it just for the reason that they want it and no other. And then you help them get it. And that was incredibly touching. So wherever that lands you, I would say my journey has been one where I built an incredible muscle to be untouchable. And I think my journey to today has been one where I've let go of that muscle, and I not only like to touch and connect other people, but let them touch and connect with me. And I've kind of let down my shield, let down my armor, and now I'm letting the world see me. And I think there's some magic happening there too. So, which is what makes me really excited to connect with you today.
I acknowledge you also for allowing yourself to be seen in this space. Mm-hmm. There's a bit in here where I find myself curious as we go on here. What I want to do, I think, Matt, is I appreciate you bringing us up to this point in your journey here. I love to use our time here to really serve you, because with all that has taken place here, I know that there's even more that's coming up for you. Are you in a place right now where you're ready to go a little bit deeper with me?
I'd love to.
Okay, awesome. Um, I am finding myself wanting to create an agreement with you here because there's something you said that made me realize how I might show up for you. And I think that for both of us, it would behoove us to explore this agreement. Right? And the agreement here is that we don't keep each other safe in this conversation. Are you open to not having to keep me safe and me not having to keep you safe in this conversation?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. Awesome. And I say that because like when you said that in particular, I'm like, I know that game. And it's going to be something that where we can both try and dance around various things in order to keep each other safe. And I have a feeling that'll be really beneficial for both of us to explore what comes beyond creating safety and creating. And I just want to make sure we can play in that spot.
I'm all in.
Right.
And your story around ass whooping, I was so excited because I was like, great, whoop that ass. Let's see where it goes. I'm all in. I can handle it. So,
all right.
Man.
All right, my friend. Let's just start this off here. What would really serve you for today?
Love that question. You know, Niyama, it's not even what I thought I would bring to the table, but I really want to get specific on who my people are and who I represent a voice for, regardless of if I can see them in my vision. Who exactly do I need to represent based on my experience, based on my gifts, based on my passions, and what I bring to the world?
And let me just ask you really quickly here, just to see here. We have time today, so we can probably take care of that in about 15 minutes. We took care of that in about 15, we got there in 15 minutes, and you got the answers that you needed around that, right? Where would we go next? What would that open the door for you?
Reaching way down deep, I don't even know where it's coming from, is what is that gift that I don't show the world, that the world needs to see? That would help change the world.
Awesome. And let me ask you, like, why does that feel like it's in a place that's deeper for you on this moment?
Because I believe this not only for myself, but a lot of other people. I think that our truest gifts, we don't always acknowledge, and we are not always aware of what we really bring to the table and what people really, truly appreciate, get from, and need from us. And I've had enough conversations, not just professionally, but personally, where people have thanked me for my presence. Thank you for just a conversation. And I don't even know why, except genuine love that I brought to the table, and curiosity and interest and support. And I think if I could actually go deeper and understand that more, I'd be able to accept it more. Because I will say that accepting love, accepting that I've been enough, accepting that regardless if I win or lose or how this ends, it's perfect. Those are not things that have come easy to me in my world without a tangible result. Being versus doing is enough. And so that's where that comes up. There's freedom there that if I could just tap into the love that you bring is what people respond to and need the most. That's a shift. But yet there's so much freedom in what I want to hear.
Okay, Matt. You mentioned earlier, regardless of if you win or lose, what's at stake for you right now? What's like?
That one rocked me. Great question. Because there's the literal answer of, the tangible things, my family's well being and all. But truly, my soul. I'm someone that truly believes that I want to be led by my soul and my heart, and I can help people. But first, I need to help myself, and I need to be all of me. And the fear of regret is probably one of the biggest drivers in my life. It's always been. It's what drove me to accomplish things that even I didn't think were accomplishable. It was a mantra of mine. No regrets is what I would say. No regrets. I literally would say that when I was in so much physical and mental pain. And it was kind of a cue to bury things and get on with it. And airing it out is what I like to say. Let it all out, air it out. Let's go for it. So not doing that is like death to me. And I think it'll kill my soul, and I'll feel like I'll have wasted a life if I don't actually show people all of me and air it out soulfully, not just physically or on the outward, but rather now I'm looking to air it out on the inward, show the messy.
So let's do this here, Matt. I want to invite us here to just take like 2 deep breaths. And each time we take a breath, we're going to lower our consciousness from the mind down into the heart. And the second breath is going to take another thing of lowering our consciousness from the heart into our soul. And let's play and have our conversation come from that soul to soul place. And I have no clue what will come of it. You might find some other ways if you want to get there. But if we're going to have this conversation and this is about if what's at stake is your soul, then that's where we need to be playing. All right. So let's take in that first deep breath here. Feel yourself connecting with your heart. Feel yourself allowing your heart to be expressed and to be a part of this conversation as well. You were paid to keep things out, and now you're getting paid to let things in. Let that out. Now we'll go ahead and take a second breath here. Take one breath in. And this time, connect with your soul. Whatever that means to you, whatever that inner knowing is, whatever that is, the thing that's infinite about you, the thing that chose to be here on this planet, that chose this vessel called Matt to come through and channel its experience here for this blink of an eye of time in its overall existence. Connect with it.
Feels good, my brother.
All right. So before we continue, I would love to know, like, why are you on this earth? And not the one that just sounds good. Like this is the one that like you're on. Like I was just here. You know our brother Teo. He asked me a very similar question, and it's part of what helped me show up the way that I'm showing up today. All the work that you're doing, if everything you're doing right now is in service of why your soul chose you, Matt, to live on this earth at this particular time of life, what is underneath all of that you're really here to do?
What comes up for me, Niyama, is, and there's a calling to go deeper, but is to relieve people's pain. But I've done that my whole life, and I've done that where I've taken on their energy and I've taken on their pain. And I've invited to, let me handle that in various literal ways. I got you. I'll handle that. Let me carry that. Let me carry you. But then on a deeper level is relieve their pain and their suffering by just letting them be free. And we're going to go on a journey here, letting them be free and just kind of be themselves, because their pain is trying to fit in. Their pain is trying to satisfy, and their pain is really from the idea that who they are, what they want isn't enough. And so, but the question comes around to, is that why I'm here on this earth, or is that really what I want? Which that is the answer. And why I'm on this earth, I think, is to represent that and actually show people more of that. That is okay. And what you're unpacking for me, or I'm unpacking, is that the endurance training that I told you I was so great at has really just prepared me for that. To kind of be naked, to live naked, to show people all of that. That you don't have to live in pain. And that feels really good to say.
See you there. Let's continue down this journey. What I want to do is explore a little bit here, and we'll come back and we'll see how everything ties in. So what's at stake is your soul, and you've been training for this your entire life. Here, you mentioned a fear of regret, and I'm just going to ask you. Like nowadays, I'm now also exploring death as an ally in the same conversation here. And if death could be an ally for the two of us in this conversation, if we can invite death to be a part of this here, one day you and I are both going to die. There is no way, shape around it. It is as inevitable as the sun rising. If tomorrow that day happened to be for you, ask your soul, what is it that you would regret?
There's two things that come up for me, Niyama. What I regret would be not showing the world all of myself sooner. And what that shows up as is just love, not showing who I love, what I love, the love that I am to more people sooner. Not for any outcome, not so that they would love me, or not just more just because that's what's in me. Somebody said at a recent engagement that they're like, I see you as one huge beating heart walking around. And that touched me. And I think there's a lot of truth there. But just not showing that beating heart, which I haven't traditionally done for a lot of my life. That's what I would regret. But you brought up a memory for me. We were at an event and we played a game called the Samurai Game, and that was an event that changed my life. The first thing we did in that, what samurais used to do, is they wrote a letter to their loved ones, because samurais believed they were already dead. So they had no regret. They had nothing left unsaid. It was all in that letter, so they could be removed from that and then go on living free, regardless if they lived or died. It was all said. It was all prepared for. It was done. That was such a freeing experience for me. That gave me the freedom that I could feel was the intent for the samurai. So
just so you, what about it made it free for you?
Well, it links to my first answer, in that the regret would be things unsaid or things unshown or things unexpressed. And that letter gave me that chance, that if I don't get to tell this person, if I don't get to say this, if I don't get to show the world this, here it is. At least I've said it here. So it will never just be in a jar, never said. It just expressed it in one way, shape, or form. And that gave me freedom. That gave me freedom from any regret. It's out there. And now my mission is to put it out there more for as long as I can. Yeah.
What's behind the smile right now?
Insight, enlightenment. I'm tearing up. I'm tearing up a little bit. A path. What's behind it is this idea around regret is, when will enough be enough that I no longer worry about regret? And you kind of helped me realize the answer, which is maybe it's a letter, a tangible thing like I just expressed, but just if I can just put it out there and then live free that it's out there, then that's enough. And I think that'll change my whole life. That is so much lighter and freer. And coming from that place of, I've already done everything I need to do. I've already said everything I need to say. So there is no pressure. There is no chance of regret. Now let's play. God, that lights me up. And I have this feeling of incredible freedom, incredible power, incredible influence, and just incredible fulfillment and satisfaction and love for myself, and love for you for bringing this out. Like, seriously, I'm getting a huge feeling of gratefulness. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm receiving that right now. Thank you. And I want to say thank you because, well, let me ask you, from this place here, from being connected to this part right here, there's actually a few different things I'm going to play out with you in this space. But you tell me, like, what's your gift?
This is one that I'm going to remind you of our agreement, because I'm going to tell you what I think it is, but I'm going to need you to, because you've experienced me, I'm going to need you to keep me honest. The immediate one that comes up is taking care of people. And holding space for holding them is what I've done, holding them. But my real gift, I think, is it is love, man. It is love.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah. That like, there, like, because at a certain point in this conversation, I was like, oh, this is simple. Like, the gift is him. Like, and I don't mean that in I mean that as honestly as I can mean. Like, it's like the gift that your people out there are looking for is you. The gift that that you have to offer to the world is like, is the love that you bring, but also just like how you are in the world. And there's something around like this airing out and being able to be in a place where there's like actually no regrets,
hmm.
that I really feel like could be a really a compass for you. It's almost like like we're talking about the samurai game. They had the bushido, right? And it was like the way, it was like the code of the samurai. You know, and I feel like one part of your own personal bushido is like is in that airing out there, and it's in that like it's the reason why I felt called to create an agreement to not be safe, for us not to make each other safe here, because it's part of the reason that came up for me was because in my making other people safe, I stopped airing things out. I stopped showing up to the table. I showed up as a version that I thought that they wanted, that I thought was being loving and all that stuff. Like for me, I say I'm a recovering people pleaser because for the longest of time I thought that pleasing people was actual love. And now I've chosen service and beyond.
Hmm.
And there's an element here where it almost feels like two stages. There's one part of the question that seems like it's like, okay, how do I market this? How do I get like help other people know what my gift is and everything like that? I think that like I want to table that part of the conversation until you actually own your gift.
Yeah, that resonates for me. It totally, that, a couple things. Because when you speak, there's so many nuggets. Um, I love what you say. I'm a recovering people pleaser. Because I wrote down as you right after you said it, I'm a recovering people impresser.
Mm.
I was driven to impress people, whether that was by achievement, whether that was by how much composure or endurance or unshakability or stoicness or strength or thought or spoke or word spoken or whatnot. Impress, but never connect, never really show who we are. And when you said your gift is you, oh, that hit me like a train. That hit me like a train. And that concept and that idea is kind of verbalized and really captured what I believe, what I want for other people, mainly because it's what I want for myself. And it really gave me a guide, like the Bushido in the samurai game. And it's funny, I'll just go deeper here. My letter in the Bushido game, and for anybody who doesn't know Bushido, it's a set of ethics or values that the samurai stood for above all else. It wasn't about them. It was about how true you could represent this code of conduct and these values. And my letter to my family, it didn't say, I love you. I've wanted to always say this. It said, I stood for the Bushido, some version of this. It stood for the Bushido. I'm no longer here in body, but always here in spirit. The closer you are to the Bushido, the closer you'll be to me. And that took all the weight of me having to be anything or whatnot except this code of ethics. And what you're framing for me is just be my own code, be me. And that's where the gift is and the power is and the loss of regret is and fear. And God, I feel very free right now, brother.
Yeah. I like I realize in here, like you're right now in this space of like what my purpose is. Like I'm here to make like I want to play with you, Matt. Like I really want to, and I want to play with you know, because there was something you had said earlier where you're like, and if we get to this place, then I can go and play. And you're an athlete, you know what it's like to play, like, but like you can go and play. And like for like, I'm not gonna lie, soul to soul, I know that's like that's what my soul's here to do. It is here to remind people about how to experience like unabashed and unapologetic joy. And one of the perfect ways to do that is through play.
Brother, my whole body's got goosebumps right now because, and it's just representing, and I know you know this, the power of language. Because when you said my words back to me, when I get there, I'll play. If you said, what am I great at? I would tell you work. Mm. I've always, if people looked at me, they'll be like, oh, he'll outwork anybody. And sometimes, even us as coaches, we mesh play with work. And we're like, oh, let's do the work and play full out. But even that comes off to me personally as work. But no, where I'm saying play, I mean, that's the freedom of play, of fun, of joy. And it's not work. And that's where I would be totally alive. That's where I would really flourish. That's where we all would, right? Because there's freedom to just be and just experience. As an athlete, it's called flow. When you're in flow, when you're in state, you're playing. It's not work. It doesn't hurt. It does, but you don't realize that you're playing. And God, you gave me a centering thought of what if we did just play, but not from a place of work? What if we just played?
It's an interesting question. Like honestly, it's the place that I'm playing from, and I've been catching myself. I'm like, all right, I'm building my body of work. I was like, no. It's a body of play. I'm in the mastermind and someone called it out. They're like, you dude, at your essence, man, you are just all about play, you know? And it's part of the reason why I'm like, wow, I want people to step up in their power because like we could be co-creating, we could be collaborating, we could be playing with one another and creating and doing all, but we're out here like getting caught in these like mundane, mediocre thoughts of like the grounded world. And it's like we're not able to lift up enough to see what is actually available to us. I'm bored most of the time, Matt. I am bored most of the time. And I've been starting to realize like, oh, I don't need to settle for a life of like playing at a level 3 or 4 because that's what's around me. I want to play again.
I love that.
There's an element as we're talking here that comes up. The concept of up leveling is really like running through me right now. I'm gonna share it I'll share it as a concept or and as a potential practice, right? So I talked about becoming being a recovering people pleaser, right? Beyond that, though, it's like, okay, what's the like people pleasing was my one, let's say like my lower form of trying to accomplish some end result, right? And now I've leveled that up some by choosing to play at the level of serving, right? I think I think about like when I was working in consulting, they had all these different competencies, and they said like everyone that's an employee has to like fill out these like they have to be in these 8 competencies, right? One of them was like managing ambiguity to help make this real. So as an analyst, they're like, when you're managing ambiguity as an analyst, you have to be willing to like take the work that comes to you in a last minute format and just like be able to handle changes and like always have a positive attitude. You know, that's how you would do it as an analyst. as a senior consultant, you should be able to anticipate some of the changes that are coming, manage your project, and be able to lead all the different results as a result there. As the manager, senior manager, you are managing that change and ambiguity with the clients on and helping them navigate that ambiguity and so on and so forth, right? But it was all in the lens, all in that competency of managing ambiguity. And there's some things that you're talking about today where I feel that there's a level shift that would really serve you on several of them. So perhaps it's like, if you're a recovering people impressor, under what competency would that have fallen in, right? And at a certain stage in your life, the way to play that game was as people impressor, without having to let that go for good. Given what you're serving at now, given what your soul is being called to do at this point, what's the level up of that within the competency?
Yeah, and what was coming up, I appreciate the example. What was coming up for me was, because it's funny, even as I say it, I'm a recovering people impressor. I wasn't always impressive, but my goal was to impress. And that was a realization. Within that competency, now it would be impressing people by how comfortable I am being me, how powerfully I bring my gift, unapologetically I bring my gift, how okay I am being messy, being real, being true, being truth. Giving love, but also receiving love. So it just really comes around to, I impress people by doing the things they didn't think I could do, mainly because I wanted to inspire them to realize they could also do it. And now you take that gift and say, I'm going to use that and say, I'm going to be so raw, so real, so authentic, so me, to also inspire, to show you that you can too and still be loved.
Yeah, as you say that, I'm with you, Matt. And there's a part of me that's like, it still feels like you're trying to impress. It feels like it's about them, right? There's like, I'm going to do this on behalf of you, to do this here. Like, there's still something about like, I'll be so raw, I'll be so this, that it's like, look, like there's an element of that just feels like it's off. It's close, but it's off, right?
Can you finish? No, yeah. I was going to say, frame the question a little different then, because I feel what you're saying too. Yeah. And there is an element of that is there's an element of that we're saying the same thing.
Yeah. Well, that's like, so I'll just say this is me, like this, like I'm like, without having to make us safe in this place. I don't care if I'm right or wrong here, but like what it is like, I feel that there's something in that competency around like there's something about showing or being visible, right? And being a way that you want to be seen, right? And there's I don't have the answer on it all right now, but there's something around, okay, you know how to be seen through your external environments. At a certain level, you are impressing people through the external part, and now perhaps you're doing it on the internal. At a certain level, impressing others was something that you actively did, and it was an external act, right? I get curious about what is it like? What would life be like for Matt if he was just going out of his way to impress himself, And it would like to almost like give yourself like the gift is you, right? So there isn't any extra work that you need to do. Like that's the key behind the gift is you here. Like, and the disconnect I feel comes when there's an external element of like, well, how do I give the gift of me? I'm like, nope, you missed it. It's like I'm like totally lost it.
Same problem.
Yeah, problem. It's simply in the being. And let's look at this conversation as an example. Before we hit record here, I came out here and I tell you the same thing I tell everyone else, which is please be as selfless as possible, because you represent someone out there, and you being you is everything. it is already enough. And the challenges that you're facing and the way that you're approaching your goals and the things that you bring up here, like that is enough. There's, and I told you at the very beginning, any attempt to try and be someone or to bring it out for all the listeners will just create disconnect and will actually take us away from what this is really all about. Matt, this entire conversation has been an opportunity for you to practice just being the gift of you. Do you have any regrets?
No regrets, but gratefulness for where we are. Because, what was coming up for me as you were speaking was just the letting go of any external. And the idea of impressing myself, that rocked me. And impressing myself and literally my body's filling up with energy right now, and is being okay with exactly how I am. And what I mean by that is not externally, but when I'm scared, great, accept it, love it. I'm scared. And there's no effort to show the outside world, no extra effort. Hey, let's make sure I show I'm scared. Let's make sure I tell everybody I'm scared. There's just be okay with being scared and, or hurt or loved, and just be that. And I can't even articulate it. It's such a thing, but right. And the trap is, am I showing everybody, am I showing the world that I am this emotion or I am this raw? That's the trap. Versus, I loved what you said. It's just being. It's not doing. It's just so. So how I would impress myself is to be the hell out of myself and stop there.
Yeah, my friend. Like, play with that. Like, there's an element of that. Like, just go ahead and play with it. I remember I saw you the last time I saw you. You had a shirt that said "love" on it. Yeah. I said to you, here goes the deal. When you're actually an embodiment of love, you won't need to wear it outside.
To wear it.
Yeah. And I feel like we're in this same space of like, you don't need to project it in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm. You're dead on. I mean, I've got a couple tattoos, and I always used to joke where, when I die, people can bury me naked and they'll kind of see me. And I had another powerful person in our community say, what if you didn't have to die for people to see you? And I was like, that was pretty simple and aha, but yes. But to your point, just playing because it feels good, and just playing to play, and just being because it's what's there.
It's like, and I'm realizing I'm looking at our time, so I want to be respectful of it. So we're gonna wrap up here.
That's fine.
Okay. The thing for me as you're saying this here is like, it is like in the play. It's like it's in the space of like what if you just lived in the space after what you had accomplished. So instead of like, it's almost like trying to market someone into, let's use coaching because we both within that world, market people about coaching. You're like, coaching will do this, it'll do all that stuff, or you just gave them an experience of that life. It's that there's this element here of like, what if you played right now and you just let that happen? And that would, go ahead. There's something that's coming through you.
No, I mean, that right there was, I think, one of the most powerful things in this whole conversation. What if you just lived in a space after you accomplished everything, did everything, achieved it, you were there, and you just were that free and that freedom? That was just mind-blowing right there, just how that was framed. The other side of the chase or the mountain It's not even on top of the mountain. It's just the after the mountain where there's no more mountains.
Yeah, because like, yeah, play in that space because I'm getting the sense here that like you there's a part of you that's surpassed what it is that you're trying to get, and you're still looking for it ahead of you, and it's like, dude, you're in the space of play world, but you're not playing yet. And trust me, I know it because it's like, it's the reason why we're having this conversation here. There was a lot of like, what do I need to do to be ready, to be ready, to be ready? And like, maybe it's like, oh no, dude, hit record, invite a few people in, hit record and do what's fun for you.
I love this. Yes. And all that where my mind's going right now is the traps and just how do I stay on this path? How do I?
Cool. You know? So let's also just handle that really quickly. All right. Death was for me, right? Death as an ally. I'm going to invite you to bring regret in as an ally. In everything you do, regret isn't something to like get past or anything like that. What would happen if in every single conversation you went into, regret was right there with you, but not as something that was holding you back, but as something that was actually lifting you up? Because like regret being there, like, oh, I got to air this out. I would love to do this right now. Or I would not even love to just say or to see it, but I'd love to experience it. There's an element that of bringing this thing in that's a question on your mind without having to resolve it or like just to be in partnership with it. Mm-hmm. The idea of what would it be able to, and it's interesting here, it's going to sound odd, but what would it be like to co-create with regret? And
incredibly freeing.
Yeah.
Because again, my body's responding. Because again, if I could co-create with regret and accept it and be okay with it and understand 100% there's going to be things that I may regret. And if that happens, great. And get okay with it. Oh.
But because you regret it on different levels. There's a regret on the human level, but you're talking about regret of the soul, and there's an element that I feel that if you're able to co-create with regret, the soul won't feel that level of regret. Would you win? Would you lose? All of a sudden, win and lose is irrelevant because the soul has been satisfied.
Yeah, you're dead on. You're dead on. What's coming up for me? Yeah, the soul doesn't feel regret. The rest of me would regret not letting my soul speak, not being me. But once I can co-create, accept it, be okay with that, it's kind of the doorway and the pathway to letting the soul speak, in my mind.
Yeah. Oh. So let's play with that as we wrap up this conversation. I like to leave. I'm not someone that leaves conversations in like what's it called? Like, what's the one action? For me, I'm more about a practice. I'm more about like helping us like build the muscle, right? It's almost like a lot of times it's like we enter a courage gym. So like, how would you want to play with this? Like over the next 30 days, what's one insight that you had that you feel like if you actually integrated in some way, shape, or form would serve you the most? Let's start there. What's one insight?
There's a couple, so I'm going to kind of throw them out there and work through it with you, if that's okay.
Yep.
The idea of just play. And just doing things because in that vein, because they felt good and that was that. That was it. The idea of just impressing myself. It's the only person and thing to impress, or impressing my soul or my heart. And then the last one is what we just talked about. Just what if regret was an ally? What if you coexisted, you collaborated with it? And these are insights and ideas that are going to land subconsciously and kind of open things up, I think. But I think as far as what could I play with, it's right here. It's the concept of living in that space and coming from that space after the accomplishment and just after. And that, I think that is a real grounding place I can come from for the next 30 days. That makes me really excited, really curious, really scared and nervous, and really unknown, which is interesting. So I'm going to go with that one. And I had to work through that. I appreciate that's how my mind works to kind of get there. But I think that one feels amazing.
Yeah. Let's play. All right. Matt, I'm glad that we decided to play in this way here today. Right. I acknowledge you for being a stand for your soul's purpose. I acknowledge you for the game that you are playing. And I actually really acknowledge you for stepping up and saying, oh, wait, let me get back in the actual game and play. As we wrap up today's conversation, I want to leave here from a place of just being like, it's great. I feel fulfilled in being able to have a soul to soul conversation with you, and also to just allow what needed to come out to come out.
Let me receive that for a second. And feel that. And I feel that. I really do. And I want to say thank you to you for holding this space, because I wrote a note down in the middle because I almost caught myself. You said something, I want to. You were kind of talking about, I want to, and I sometimes need help. And I immediately wanted to say, how can I help you with that? How can I support you with that? And I kind of got disciplined and said, no, with what you said, either right before we went on camera or right after, was be selfish. This is your space. So I remained with me, and you allowed that to be okay. And that's an uncomfortable place for me. But I did. And I think that we got someplace that we wouldn't have if we turned the focus for you. So for being selfless, to let me be selfish, was really serving. And I'm sincerely grateful. Like my soul, my heart, everything. I'm getting emotional. I'm really grateful. So, thank you.
I'm going to tell you something here that you may not have known. I was also being selfish. This is fun for me. I am tired of being bored. I'm like, bring it. And if it's not there, then we're not there yet. You can watch some videos of me where I'm just like,
I know that.
Yeah. I'm like, let's go. Let's get there. Right. So I'm sharing this back with you in the context of this year, where it comes back to the gift is you, right? You gave me things without having to try.
Mm.
You would have given me less had you actively tried to help me. That's the thing. It's odd. And it's odd because, and the thing about this, I can say this to you because you are a caring person who has this on the mind as it is. Like there's an element of the game that you're playing now that I feel like there's the people who reach out to me, for example, people who watch this conversation, let's even use that, right? There's some people in here that are going to hear our conversation and hear the words, and they'll be listening to the content that we say. But there are other people in here that are going to be watching the context, like seeing how you were being in this conversation, seeing how you and I are together. There's some people out here that aren't ever going to watch any of these videos, but will be so impressed with just the fact that there's like live coaching happening on a regular basis. The way, like, one of the biggest things that has allowed me to just go out and play in the world is to get like, there it is. Just like my real humility is to give up like trying to know how I'm helping people. The most humble thing I can do is just be like, whatever this happened to be, someone is going to get this. Someone's going to get what they need to get out of it. And we're just going to focus on whatever it is. So I want to just kind of call that out here because there's an element of like you being with me and only being with me has had its impact. And I want to let you know one person directly who it impacted is this guy. This is a smile on my face. This is like a legit, like, all right, like fun has been had here and good play, good work has been done as well. Right. So Matt, let's leave it at that. Send me a message in the upcoming days. Let me know how some of this evolves for you. I like to keep in the loop there. And let me see how they grow for you as they go along. All right.
I have so much love for you, brother. I really do. Yeah. This was incredibly fun, which is not something I say often. And you lit me up, and I'm really excited. So thank you.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to see what you make from here. I'll catch you soon.
All right, brother.
Bye.